Hi, I'm Lori,
And I'm Kelly.
and we are,
To Rope Drop and Beyond.
and this is our series, Let's Talk About Disney.
Today we're going to talk about rope dropping 201 for Disneyland Park. We're going to keep it simple, one park, and give you all the strategies that are good for rope drop for Disneyland.
Yeah, there's a couple of different rides that are good to rope drop in Disneyland, and we used to always do Peter Pan when our kids were little, well, her kids were little, and I would go also, and because that was one of their favorite rides, and it was one of the ones they could actually go on.
So we talked about going through security and getting to the tap styles an hour early in our other rope drop video. So once you get into the park for Peter Pan, you want to line up in the very center of the hub.
They will have a rope that goes across somewhere, and sometimes they change it, so maybe in a year or two it'll be different, but usually it's just right in front of the castle on the drawbridge.
Yeah. One tip is to try to rope drop Disneyland on a day that they do not have early entry for hotel guests, because then you're going to be waiting. People will already be in line for Peter Pan because that Fantasyland is open for early entry. So if you can rope drop, do it on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, then you're going to be the first at Peter Pan.
Right. If you have little kids, you will probably have a stroller. So you're going to have to deal with taking the stroller somewhere and parking it. And they are actually really good about, if your whole party gets in line for Peter Pan, the one person that has the stroller can come and get in line.
Yeah, so just send one person, everyone else go straight to the ride. Just send one person with the stroller to go park it, and then you shouldn't have a problem.
Yeah, and they don't usually walk you to Peter Pan until you get to the line. And then they will usually walk you through the line and all the switchbacks.
Yeah. There are two places to stand at the rope. You can stand right in the very middle of the hub where the statue is. Or there's also a rope if you're looking at the castle. If you go to the right, there's a rope over there that people stand at for Peter Pan too. And those converge on the drawbridge. So just be aware of that. You can stand at either place. And if you're at the front of the rope, it's not going to matter too much which one you choose.
A few years ago we went and they were actually putting the rope right on the drawbridge, which was nice because then you didn't have to choose one or the other and you didn't have to go around the partner statue. So that was nice, but they didn't do that the same way.
They don't do that because of early entry. So now they hold you back a little bit further.
Yeah. So go ahead and rope drop Peter Pan, and you should be able to, if you're at the rope, you should be able to get on it really quickly. And then after that, you can just choose any of the Fantasyland rides. We try to do Alice pretty quickly because Alice in Wonderland does get a longer line faster than some of the other rides.
Dumbo also is
That's
a good
true.
choice.
Yeah, Dumbo.
Especially, if you have little kids, I would do Peter Pan, Dumbo, Alice, all within the first 30 minutes of the day, and that should be pretty easy.
Yeah, and once you do a few of those Fantasyland rides, then you can head over to Mickey and Minnie's. And Mickey and Minnie's doesn't generally fill up right away, so you'll still be in a good position when you get over there.
So that's our tip for Fantasyland. Our next favorite one is Rise of the Resistance.
And it's the hardest to rope drop because you have to go the furthest and you have to speed walk, and there are people running. You're not supposed to run. We try not to run. We try to just speed walk. But because people do run, sometimes we're not very first. But it doesn't matter on that one if you're very first or not because it's a high capacity ride. And so you will get on really fast if you're at the front of the rope.
Yeah. Most people will tell you not to rope drop Rise of the Resistance, but we have done it a number of times with kids and a stroller, and it works.
Yeah.
So I disagree with those people, and I say go ahead and rope drop it.
And there's two different entrances that people stand at, two different ropes to rope drop Rise. One is at Adventureland and one is at Frontierland. The Adventureland, if you look on the map, it looks like it's the shortest way. And it probably is the shortest way to the Star Wars land. But the line heads the other way. So if you go the Adventureland way, you're going to have to get clear over to the other side to get to the end of the line. So we prefer to rope drop at the Frontierland entrance And if you're on a day where there's no early entry, then you don't have to compete with the people in Fantasyland.
Even if you are on a day with early entry, they may get a little bit ahead of you, but it's fairly equidistant, so you can still do it.
Yeah.
Our main
we've
tip,
done it.
sorry. Our main tip for rope dropping Rise of the Resistance is make sure you talk to the cast member. They will know if Rise is going to be open or not.
Sometimes they might not know till the last minute, but when it's almost time to drop the rope, they'll know and they can tell
Yes. And if it's not going to be open, you're going to have to pivot pretty quickly and go over to either Indiana Jones or Haunted Mansion or something like that over on that side of the park.
you. Right. This happened to us the last time we were there. We decided this time that we were going to try to do Indiana Jones because we had never done that before, so we wanted to try it. And it just happened to be that day Rise was down. And so we were actually the very first people on Indiana Jones, but then the line behind us got crazy busy really fast because the people from Rise were going straight over there instead.
Yeah. So that's our third strategy is rope drop Indiana Jones. You do want to line up at the Adventureland rope for that one. Mm-hmm. And there will be people lined up there to go to Rise and Indiana Jones. Just make sure you stay left and go to Indiana Jones. And that one's actually pretty easy if you're at the front of the Adventureland.
Yeah,
rope.
it's not very far. I loved rope dropping that because we didn't have to walk that far. So that was a good one. Which brings us to the last one, which is Space Mountain. And that's also really easy and short because it's just right there in Tomorrowland. Mm-hmm. So it's not a long speed walk either.
Yep. And that one, they just hold you right at the entrance to Tomorrowland and then let you in. If you are a little bit late to rope drop, you're not at the very front, I recommend Space Mountain. Or a Fantasyland ride that's not Peter Pan.
Right.
And that will be, you'll be able to get on pretty easily, even if you're not at the very front to one of those lesser rides. But if you want one of the 4 top rides, then I recommend being there super early, an hour early.
Getting right next to the rope. That's the best way to do it.
Yep. But rope dropping is super fun. It's just kind of a thrill. We love it. We do it every single time with kids or without. And we're always one of the first ones.
And the kids, they complain about getting up early previous to doing it. But then once they're there, they're like, oh, I'm so glad we got up early. And then the next day they're like, are we getting up early again? Let's get up early again.
Even after the fact, I asked
really
my kids, I was like, what's your favorite part? And they're like, rope dropping. It's the best.
So once they try it and have a good experience, then they'll never go back.
So let us know how it goes. Have a good day
at the parks.